I'll make a game and get rich. As you already understood, in this video we're gonna explore why it takes so long to make a video game. But first of all, there is the question of what exactly is so long? To get an answer, we need to ask yet another question. Since when do people wait for a game to be released? This is important because so long is rather a subjective statement. Nobody is gonna complain because of a completely secret project nobody knows about in the first place. You have to anticipate a game to say, "Oh, when do we finally get it? It takes so long." There are generally two reasons to expect a future release of a video game. First one, the game was announced. As an example, we can use Cyberpunk 2077. The game was announced in May 2012 and was released in December 2020. That makes roughly 103 months of anticipation. Second reason to expect a video game is the mere existence of someone able to create it. In this category, I also count open endings of games which basically imply a future release in a franchise. For example, Resident Evil 9. You didn't have to wait for this year's announcement to anticipate it. I personally have waited since I finished playing Resident Evil 8, approximately 38 months now. To put it into perspective, if you're currently waiting for a game since its predecessor's release, you might have waited 43 months for the new Cyberpunk, 52 for Dennis Carlson, 77 for Kingdom Come 2, generous 110 for Witcher 4, incredible 130 for GTA 6, and unbelievable 151 months for The Elder Scrolls 6. So, what is all that time needed for? Let's sum up the development process. It doesn't really matter if you're talking about a studio or solo dev. There is a pre-production phase in which you have to make the game's concept, what is the game going to be about, what could some interesting mechanics be, and so on. You want to lay a cornerstone to the later development. In some cases, you might even need to convince someone that your project will be a success, as for example an investor, or even yourself. You just need to brainstorm and form ideas, plan, schedule and convince. It takes a lot of time because if you mess up right away, the project will most likely fail, so you want to do as much as you can before you even start developing the game. A discipline closely tied to that is design. It has many branches: level design, character design, story writing, combat design, audio design and so on. Design as such isn't a phase, it's a process running throughout the whole development of a game. Everything you see or hear in the game has to be designed by someone. And not only do you have to design everything, you need to do it multiple times in each case. This process is called iteration. First you come up with an idea how something could work, look like or sound like. Then you have to make a prototype, a rough, easy to make representation of that idea. After that, somebody unbiased has to playtest and give feedback, which allows you to iterate, basically repeat the process until the final outcome is fully polished. With each idea, it might take hundreds or even thousands of iteration cycles to get to the final result. And it's worse than that. Iteration is something you do in every aspect of the game, not only design. You have to polish everything to perfection. Design, art, programming, sounds, simply everything. Let's see an example. I'll break down just some of the features in Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is small compared to open-world titles like Red Dead Redemption 2. 3D models, textures, visual effects, animations, voiceover, sound effects, story, objectives, tutorial, level design, camera movement, player movement, game saving, gunplay, so shooting, reloading, weapon quick swap, zombie AI, zombie movement, zombie health, zombie death, object interaction, inventory, zombie attack, player health, player death, death menu, intro sequence, save stations, item crates, movable cabinets. And we're just in the first 15 minutes of the game. The list is much longer for the whole game, of course. All these features had to be designed, programmed, visually and audio realized, and iterated multiple times in every single of those steps. And when you're done, somebody can still come and say, "It's not good enough, we're remaking it from scratch." To bring the spotlight from design, let's talk about programming and the visual side of game development. Programming is just a process of endless suffering. When you think you're done, you're not. Go fix the bugs. Art is incredible by the volume of it you need. Here's one room in Resident Evil 2 Remake with every object highlighted. And there are hundreds of rooms in the game. And again, just to remind you, for every single object. Concept, iteration. Model, iteration. Textures, iteration. Lighting, iteration. Placement, iteration. If you're working on a 2D game, enjoy animating. 24 frames per second, everything has to be animated. 5-second animation equals 120 images. Have fun! You say, 3D character animation? Enjoy mocap. Just for the cutscenes you'll spend the same amount of time as if you'd like to make a movie, or more. With all that, it's impossible to know how long it will take, so try telling someone. We'll have the game done by May 2034. The developers have no idea themselves. That's why you get that postponed release. There are of course differences in studio sizes. The impacts a large workforce makes are dramatic. But this doesn't solve everything, and there are always limitations to the process speed developers can achieve. Sometimes the studios don't have enough personnel to cover the capacities needed, sometimes they don't want to do it in order to use a part of that workforce to parallelly push forward a different project. For example, Capcom simultaneously worked on Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 Remake. But what about the indie developers? They work alone or in small teams, which poses great limitations for them. Not only that, every project is a huge risk for them, as they don't get paid regularly. If a Call of Duty game doesn't sell well, the employees are still getting paid. You can't say the same thing about indie developers. And to make it worse for those who don't have a large enough money reserve, they must have a job to survive on a daily basis, which takes away the precious time needed for development. Where studio employees face pressure from their bosses and often have to work overtime, indie devs have to face the same thing but from their fans. In some cases this even reaches the level of insults and threats, which doesn't really make the development faster. For example, there are speculations of this being the reason for the disappearance from the internet of Danny, a popular YouTuber/indie dev. Now, there's the question you might have been waiting for. How long will it take you to make a game? This question is more on a personal level. Basically, there are two things you need to do in order to make a game in a reasonable amount of time. First one is, you need to keep your drive. There will come a point where you have more important or more fun things to do. You don't have enough experience. There is a ton of long, tedious work you need to do. You don't get rewarded until you finish the game. All of this will take your drive away. But if you want to finish the project, you must stay disciplined and work hard. The second thing that you need is a strong control over perfectionism. There are instances when perfectionism is okay, But most of the time, it's just slowing you down, and people tend to focus on one aspect, polishing it to perfection, while they completely overlook more important things. Or they try to have everything perfect, which of course takes away way too much time. To quickly sum up this topic, now you know why it takes so long to make a game. It's alright to be looking forward to a release, but please mind that those who work on games are just people. Don't turn your anticipation into being toxic towards them. What game are you waiting for right now? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. Here is another one you could enjoy. Bye.